Well, well, well. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome. Let me just make sure the music's not too loud. Just that's a smidge. There we go. All better. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It's been a while, hasn't it? And I'd like to just stress my apologies for that. I was not originally intending on, well, being gone as long as I was. However, things went a certain way, right? You know how these things go. It went a certain way. I was feeling like shit. Now here we are. But welcome. I do hope you haven't missed me too much. But I'd like to say, for the record, I'm back. I intend to stay back. For a while at least. That's the plan. Well, it never goes that way, but hey. Let me just shrink down and move out the way of the chat so you guys can see yourself yapping. Last thing I want is to be in the way. Maybe I'll live a little bit, though. Don't want to be too out of the way now. I am supposed to be the start of the show, in some respects. But yes, I had a bit of a break, chat, as I'm sure you're very, very aware. Hey, Time. The background lurking. No problem, buddy. Always good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Hope your week's gone well for you. Enjoy your lurk, my friend. But yes, I am... Oh, God. Chat, where do I even start? So, I suppose we'll start with that fateful day, shall we? So, fateful day rolls around, and I must confess, I felt horrid. I did. I felt horrid Thursday. I apologise to any of you guys who were there on Thursday, who saw me at my, well, not quite my worst, but not great. I think I am. I think I am feeling better, thank you. I think I am. It's definitely, I'm like, there's always a part of me, well, it's a part of me at the minute, it's a bit just sort of haggard, but not like I was last week. I guess kind of worried I'd lost my touch, but I can stress I'm feeling better. I'm bouncing back. I'm like 90% of the way there. And I'm sure that other 10% will leave me as the week goes on. We got some good things coming up this weekend, and of course, chat, I had to pull myself together for Monday, because next Monday's our anniversary. And of course, the last thing I want is to miss out on our anniversary. Because let's be honest, chat, I very much want to be there for that. And hopefully you do too. As we're reaching our 2-year mark. And, you know, it's a weird feeling. There's a part of me that wonders if I'd have made it 2 years. I wasn't sure if I was going to carry on as long, but hey, 2 years in, and we're still kicking. So I'd say we're doing quite well. But yeah, I'm, in short, feeling better than I was. Which, God, I was feeling down. So yeah, Friday rolled around, I felt like shit, and just wanted to rot. And then we did a bit of things on... Let me think. Did I do much Saturday? I think I did a bit on Saturday. Yeah, did a little bit on Saturday. Vibed mostly. Played some games. Sort of minor things. Sunday, I had a few bits I needed to do. But I think I was ill Saturday for something. Don't know why. Stress, maybe. But I'm better. But as I say, Sunday rolled around, made my video, and I just want to talk about that video a little bit. As I realised looking back, I hope it didn't come across like I was angry at anyone in particular. Other than maybe myself a little bit. I guess frustrated was the words, would be the right word for it. A little frustrated, a little agitated at just how I was feeling at the time. Yeah, that Sunday I was feeling very yeah, it was a different vibe than I originally recorded. I was going to re-record it anyway because I wasn't happy with it originally, but that second one was from a painful place. But as I said in that video, and I will say again here, I am not giving up. I am not going anywhere. Don't you worry about that. I've bounced back from worse. But I needed that break, I must stress. As you can probably tell from that Sunday, I was in places. Not ideal places. Nothing horrific, but nothing great. So, yeah. So we're back now. We're back now. And I'm repeating myself again. Fuck. Oh, God, I really should write some like prompt for myself, shouldn't I? But no. In all seriousness, I have had time to sit there and think on things a little bit. To de-stress a bit. Mostly. And to kind of evaluate a little bit what I've been doing. Though I'm not going to say I've made any major changes, because I talk about them a lot and then I don't do them, and it just annoys me. I realise I spend more of my life talking about doing something than doing the thing. So I'm going to try and stop doing that, to a point, you know. A bit less talking about it, more doing it, but yeah, it's the way of these things. It's the way of them, fortunately. I need to be more of a doer than a talker, but as you can probably tell, I'm a yapper. I'm a chronic yapper at the best of times. So talking about something is kind of what I do. Kind of is how I am. It always has been. Just literally forever. Like, people used to... It's one of those things, I guess. When I was younger, I used to talk that much. People would quite often tell me to be quiet. And then when I got older, people told me I need to talk more, and I'm like, but you know what? I can talk as much as I fucking want here. I can talk as much as I goddamn want. I'll just put whatever I want. Great. Yeah. But I must admit, it felt weird not streaming the weekend. That was a strange feeling. But I was like, I looked at the clock, I saw what time it was, I was like, I should be streaming right now. That felt weird. That felt kind of weird. I've kind of made it routine now. You know, it feels weird not to do a stream now. It's kind of like part of my routine of my life. Part of my, just what I do now. But, oh, that felt weird. Didn't like how that felt. But, I kind of reminded myself why I was doing having that rest. Because I was in no good state to be streaming. Especially, like I say, Saturday... God. I don't know if it was a migraine, but someone was praying for my downfall that day, I swear. Someone was praying for my downfall. But I lived. So. And yeah, Monday rolls around, and I'm not kidding you. It was a shit one. It was so shit. I'm like, fuck me. Not again. Because it was just awful. Then, the rest of the week, I mean, Tuesday, I was rough, but I got better. Then the rest of the week's been getting slowly a bit easier, a bit better, right? To the point where today's felt okay. Friday, all being well, I'm hoping will be okay as well. Which, of course, reminds me, we will be deciding the next Total War campaign tomorrow. You guys picked High Elf, so we're going to pick one of the elves. We're going to one of the Knife Ears. We're going to be shooting arrows at people, being haughty and arrogant. Having lots of magic and dragons. There's no dungeons to jump into, though, so we're not going to be quite doing Dungeons and Dragons, but we are going to have the dragons part. Actually, one of the elves does have a dungeon, so maybe that guy can play Dungeons and Dragons. He normally rides a griffin. But details. Details. I remember his quest battle, actually. God, his quest battle was so fucking cursed. Genuinely cursed as hell. But, as I say, we're going to play some Elves tomorrow and Saturday. Then we have more Dark Heresy. I have ideas, chat. I have actually had some inspiration at last for it. I was kind of burning out of my inspiration a bit for it, but I've had some interesting ideas. Will I tell you today? Of course not. You'll find out at the same time my players will. But needless to say, I have ideas. I have plans. And I also have a lot of things I would do differently if I was to go back. Which is a theme of most of my campaigns, really. Halfway through, I'll sit there and go, fuck, I want to redo literally everything. So, there's kind of that... how to put it? When you DM a campaign, you always get all these ideas, all these things you want to do. And then you kind of, partway through a campaign, sit there and think, do I want to start over? But obviously, you've got to fight that with the, yeah, but then your players would start over too. It's like, So I've got to kind of balance that. And again, I think if I was to do things differently, there's definitely several things. I mean, I feel like as much as I liked the Cronus Nox as a starting point, I do worry I rushed around a bit too much, maybe. And also, I'd kind of made it more of a run and gun, and kind of encouraged builds that were for combat purely. Pretty much. Now, they're not entirely combat only, but they might as well be. Their main skill set to combat. The grand scheme of things. So, you know, there's that thing of I'd probably want to do things differently with that start. Also, I don't know, part of me kind of feels like the way Dark Heresy is meant to be played is more like a Bond movie in a way, you know. There's meant to, but then at the same time, it's hard to gauge it because sometimes they go fucking wild. Okay, like, so for reference, a player character will start with anywhere from like 8 to 12 wounds. Okay, which is a good amount. You've got some crazier things like a Space Marine has 22, 26, right? Then you have fucking Greater Demons with their 100 and something. I'm like, what the fuck? And they'll have fate points and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? How are you meant to fight one of those? How? Because, right, even in heavy power armor, and with, like, maybe Nemesis demon weapons to hand and a really high-end character, that's still a hell of an investment to get to the point where you can actually fight one of those, right? It's a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, you can make a combat monster early if you know what you're doing. But, oh, it's nasty. It's absolutely vile. And even the most disgusting builds you can make early on pale compared to that shit. I mean, later on, maybe you can create some crazy builds. But still, it throws me off a little bit. Like, even the Demon Prince is still a fair amount of wounds and also just deadly. So I don't quite know what the designers were planning for. I really don't. It's genuinely something I don't fully understand what the idea there is. But, hey. I'm probably not going to use anything that crazy, because the thing is, right, they're powerful, but if they get overwhelmed, they get bodied. Like, even their sniper, right, as powerful as he is bodied against a horde of dudes. Bunch of little dudes, body him. Just objectively body him. Especially if they hit, like, moderately. Even if they just keep him in melee where he can't shoot his weapon. That's it. All it needs. decent speed and a bit into numbers. Single targets, he decimates. Loads of dudes, folds. Ideally, that's where the others come in to help him out there. But still, it's a careful balancing act, right? Because I don't want to make it unfun, but I don't make it too easy. And thus I plead the woes of every DM. To be fair, I probably should have gone with something less combat-y, and then maybe built up in places where needed. The other problem I have is accurate weapons. I don't like how they're designed. I'm gonna put it out there. I think accurate weapons in Dark Heresy 2nd edition are really bad. They're bad because once you have one, you've won. Congratulations, you've won. No, seriously, you've won. You can hit harder than any other character in the game for most of the game. Without abusing character creation stuff and getting like a low quality Thunderhammer and like the right melee stats. Even then, bear in mind, a Thunderhammer has to be in melee, because it's a melee weapon, yeah? You are wielding a sniper rifle. A sniper rifle. That also nullifies unnatural toughness. It is insane. And that is without the hotshot packs that have insane quality of tearing. Now, for those uninitiated, the tearing quality of a weapon lets you roll the damage twice and pick the best. Now, pair that with the accurate trait, my dear sinners. And what that means is per degree of success, they roll an extra d10. Now, I believe the tearing only applies to the main damage, but understand, rolling a 10 on your damage means you get a little thing called Emperor's Wrath. What that means is you can roll an extra 10. It's a crit, basically. You roll an extra 10. That's right, an extra. What that means, my dearest sinners, is you can liquefy almost any opponent with a half-decent roll, and if you have the hotshot packs, tearing. I must seriously stress to you the earnest issues of, well, everything around it. The earnest problems of everything connected with it. It is a problem. Now, there is a property called Lance, and Lance might be a better one, or something like it. But if I was to start over, because it would feel wrong to change it now, as one of my players has, their own admission, entirely built themselves around abusing that trait, pretty much. Probably how they'd word it, but that's basically what they've done. And you know what? That is the raw as rules of written game mechanics, and I could have changed that beforehand. So I'm not going to go at them for it. They are using the game as written, and the rules as written. That is completely valid. That is my fault for not seeing that potential issue beforehand. That's fair enough. On me, that one is. Next time I will fucking change that trait immeasurably. Because, oh, like, I would probably do something like add, I don't know, damage per pen value or something onto it. I'd let the felling trait stay on the the las. Obviously the hotshot pack with tearing, that's fine. But maybe like whatever its pen value is adds onto its damage. If you aim, that's fine. Something like that. That's like more in line with every other weapon. And like you might ask me, but Cobral, surely you have the Thunderhammer. Well, I'd like to remind you, a Thunderhammer is a fucking hard to get item. This is a difficult item at best to get. And they are rare and powerful. A long las is powerful, yes. Very powerful. It's not that fucking rare. I want to stress this to you. a long las is not as rare nor as canonically powerful. The accurate trait's intention is to be like, hey, this is a powerful weapon being hit at a good spot. You're aiming. You're hitting a weak spot, basically. But it's very easy to get, because, like, every 2 degrees of success, you roll an extra d10. You've seen, in many games, the man rolls 20 plus damage per hit, almost guaranteed, with not much drawback, by the way. Only has to aim. Can be a half aim, by the way. If he full aims, it's guaranteed. And he already, in cover, doesn't matter. Inescapable sight. Inescapable attack, which basically makes cover worthless. Reduce someone's cover, like, cover bright armor, basically. In Dark Heresy. That nullifies it, partly. And then, if, you know, they hit your aims, with that, I think it's that or a different trait, basically, it becomes impossible to dodge. Impossible to dodge. And at that point, I'm like, well, fuck me. I'm honestly tempted to sit down and be like, okay, you've kind of won out in the you can kill anything in the game. What do you want? What is it you want out? Like, I worry it comes across like I'm being like naggy horrible, but it's like, from like a DM perspective, I'm like, I have to be careful how I engage in a combat now, because if I go in thinking about you, I know how to counter you. If I counter you, though, that fucks them too, because what counters him very likely hard counters them, because objectively he does way more damage than them. Like, don't get me wrong, the Psyker can deal with a group, potentially. But he also runs the risk of every time he uses his powers, rolling a double. He rolls a double, and it's a bad roll, that becomes a perils. At that point, that can get dicey. And the other one is not a combat character. It's got some psychic stuff, but he's not a combat character. That's not what he's about. So, needless to say, it's not a good idea to have him potentially get absolutely burped. Plus, he is objectively their only face, and not the only skill guy necessarily, but he has lore, knowledge, and a bunch of stuff. He's had a lot of things they don't have. And I must admit, it is the issue I've had with free player parties. If all three don't actively pursue skill sets, one of them is going to pick up the slack for the others, because they're going to need to. And it's like, well, right. It is an issue I have. My dream won't be like a 4 or 5 man party, because that would let me have more people able to specialize more. That would be better. But I can barely get my hands on 4 people, so. But hey, never say never. I definitely think if I do another Dark Heresy, which I think I would like to. I mean, my next campaign will be D&D, just objectively. It will be D&D. Be a private game, that will, though. But my next on-stream campaign, I'm thinking Dark Heresy, but then there's also Draw Steel, which is another, it's a fantasy system, which seemed quite cool. Quite like, kind of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons a little bit. Kind of like it. I like what I'm seeing with it. It's cool. It has like titles you can earn and sort of give you bonuses, which is kind of cool. You can't go full Dwarf Slayer and like earn your way for like Dragon Slayer, Demon Slayer. I think Dragon Slayer is even a thing, you know. Zombie Slayer and all kinds of other shit. Even like coming back from the dead is a whole thing. So much. All the classes seem quite detailed and interesting. But it's like 4th edition D&D, so it's not like the fighters are completely phased out, which is nice. I like that personally. So I was kind of thinking, so I've been playing some Darkest Dungeon, and by the way, I'd like to play some of that on stream at some time, actually. I think we could have some fun with Darkest Dungeon. I don't know how you guys feel about Darkest Dungeon, but I quite like it. But one thing in particular is I quite like the fact that, the idea rather, of maybe having a campaign where the first couple sessions, maybe like first 1 or 2 sessions, it's not about the player characters they're going to be playing, it's about their ancestors or the people who came before them. And it's all about them creating the situation they're going to be in. You know, setting things in motion, and then it's up to me how those things bloom into something. And they can suggest things here and there if they want. But point is, they'd be creating a lot of the problems, or the start of the problems, and I'd just, manifest them into what their eventuality is going to be. And then their player characters have to come and pick up the pieces. So some of which the person themselves will know, oh, that's just coming up. But not the full extent of everything that's happened. Like, it probably would be like a session where I sit down with them and just be like, okay, discuss your ancestor. What horrors did they do? Or what horrors did they tell you they did? Very specifically. Or what did they tell you? And I think I would have it where I'd have each of them have things where this is the things they know. They're welcome to feed me some stuff that their characters wouldn't know, and I'll make stuff that they as a person don't know either. So neither them or their character knows. That's an idea I've been cooking around with. Don't know if I'll do it, but it's a cool idea, I think. Collaborative bit of lore building, world building as well. And maybe there's certain things that they could build up, like, was there like a... Did they have an estate? Did they have anything around the estate, All this sort of stuff. Like the hamlet and stuff, was that there? Did they build it? Was that just blown away by the consequences of their actions, It's a few little bitty ideas that I've been floating around. But, I don't know if I want to go down that route. I don't know, because honestly, there's every chance that it doesn't really feel right or doesn't work, or it could be done a different way. And obviously, them not knowing things is important, because if you know what's happening to come, then it's not exciting, is it? Except for me, looking forward to when something comes up. I get to enjoy that thing. That's something I get to enjoy because, DM. So I get to taste that little pleasure of being. This is coming up soon. Well, that's how my side of the table feels. Their side of the table, they want to be in suspense and mystery. I feel like I always leave my players a little worried about what the hell I'm going to put them through. They should be worried. To be very worried. My mind is an enigma that even I don't want to delve into sometimes. Let alone what they're going to be dealing with. I have ideas. Yes, I have grandiose ideas, actually. I've actually been quite inspired. But I'm going to absorb a bit more 40k fiction, actually. I want to sit down and absorb some Visitor Eisenhorn. I want to absorb a lot of that. Maybe some Inquisition stuff, but Eisenhorn's like the one. It's the goat, if you will. So, as I say, it's going to be a bit of time before I'm fully kind of there with my ideas, my plans, but don't you worry, Chess, don't you worry, you'll get to see all of those into fruition in time. But yeah, that's what that's some things I've been sort of building up, thinking about, really kind of going to town on. But hey, these things all must come to fruition at some point. Probably. Excuse me. But other than that, like I say, I've been trying to take it easy. I hit a kind of roadblock creatively for a while, and it's not fully gone. There's still a fog, and it's really hard to explain, right? It's hard to fully encapsulate just how locked down my head was for a bit. Because to be totally honest with you, it was a... What's the word I am looking for? It was a... I can't think of the word. But basically, I just could not come up with anything. I just couldn't. I really tried, but I couldn't. There was just nothing creative in my bones. A lot of this stuff I've been mentioning now is very recent comings up with my head, as my mind has allowed me to be more creative again. But it is the problem with me, unfortunately. My creativity really comes and goes, and it's really hard to force it. I guess you can't force creativity, right? You can't, as much as I would love to. No, chat, I would love to be able to force creativity out of me. Believe me when I say, there is nothing more I'd like to be able to do than to literally just ram creativity from every pore in my being. You know, spray it across pages and whatever. Just, you know, go full creative. But my god, it has been a bit difficult to force that out of me. I must admit. It's been harder than normal, honestly, it has. It has, and I'm sure you can hear it a bit in my voice. I'm just kind of tired, I still am. I suppose I'm not fully over it, but at the same time, I suppose one of the best ways to just get over it is to just make it exist and then make it better later, you know? Build the foundation. But I guess for me, the problem is, though, is if I don't like the foundation, it'll ruin it for me. That's the honest problem with me. I am a bit of a fucking perfectionist, and if things don't meet that standard for myself that I want, then I just fucking flop. I flop because the way I see it is I've built a standard for myself. And then if I don't meet it, then that's not good enough. And I'm not good enough. And yeah. I'm mostly able to get around that, but that last week I could not. I could not shake the idea that I don't know. I had it in my head that I just wasn't good enough, you know what I mean? And it sucks. It sucks because it's such a terrible mindset to have. To have to prove to yourself you're good enough, or that you're, you know, that you're not completely worthless or something. That is a hard thing to deal with. That is really difficult. And I talk about it pretty openly because I feel like I need to express just where I was at. And it comes and goes, you know, it comes and goes with me. I'll have a setback and it will feel like the world ending. Like, completely. And I have to really sit there and keep on saying to myself, this is just a setback, you will be fine, it will pass, you will bounce back. But I always worry, you know, I always worry I'll have a setback that just ruins things for me. You know, I always worry about this, and I always think about it, you know? I realise talking about this is not helping me at all, but I suppose in a way I have to talk about it, otherwise I feel like I'm insane. This feeling that I've built nothing, and like I said, I'm fine. I'm okay. I just every now and then I think about this shit. You know, I think about, have I used up 2 years of my life for naught? You know, and it hurts a little bit sometimes to think like that. It does, but no, I need to I need to restructure how I'm thinking. It's just I feel like I never have time to do anything. It's the problem. It is an issue I've had recently, as I feel like I never have any time to do anything. And then people say, "Oh, you do this." I'm like, "What time do you think I have?" I just about have enough time to do what I'm doing now. It is a problem I need to kind of address, but it's really fucking difficult to unpack. I mean, to some extent, I've managed to make some time for me, where I can. Try and get things done quickly so I can have time for myself, but it never feels like it's a rest, you know? Hey, Paint, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? You've caught me mid-rant. How's things on your end? How be the painting going? I need to hear about other people's creativity. It'll boost mine back up, hopefully. Good lord, I need to find a creative spark a little bit. I've had a bit of one recently, but at the same time, oh, I've had a very sour note when it comes to my creativity recently. Allowed my perfectionism to seep in or ruin me a little on the inside. There's a pervasive problem of mine. But I'm mostly over it. I'm mostly over it. Oh, you know. What's annoying is I don't feel like I have anything like very positive to say has happened recently, which annoys me. I want to be able to say only good things have happened recently, but just feel like that's happened. Which I appreciate. You don't want to hear that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've been limbo in school, getting home, 5 sleep hour, then obligations leading to my free time getting shattered for studying. Exactly, right? It's just oh. And then you kind of sit there and you feel like a drone almost, and it's one thing I've always hated. I've always hated feeling like a drone. I'm not a drone. I'm not a fucking drone. I hate feeling like one. I'm made to feel like one. First Beyblade has been going slow, so I mean that's fair if you're saying you've had no time to do anything. But some progress, a little progress is still progress, right? Little progress is still progress, even if it's a small thing. You know, the fact you've gone and done something, that's what matters. I suppose as long as you can give yourself a day for you, right? That's the important thing, I think. As long as you have a you day. I think there's a lot of people who don't do a lot of things don't realize that when you're doing school or work, you have only so much time. I get you, man. I get you. Oh, I'll get haircuts. Damn it. But I think some of that will fade as time goes on and you get back into the swing of things, because obviously you've recently come back and you kind of get thrown back into it and you realise how much you didn't miss it. I think some of that will hopefully wear off as you've kind of gotten used to things again, right? You kind of got that, like, you kind of got that, that routine back, in a sense. Tomorrow I'll have a short day, but I will have time for stuff, so yeah, hell yeah. There you go. That'll hopefully make you feel a lot better. God, I need to sit and pick an army and just make it. I keep seeing stuff and I'm like, I should make that, but then no. But then I kind of want to make something. I don't know. I'm circling on things. Like, I have my Solar Auxilia but my motivation for building it up's kind of left me a bit, which is annoying. Part of me kind of wants to still make it though, but another part of me is like, I don't know anyone who plays Horus Heresy, and I've painted the model I've got up to mostly up to the point where I'm happy with them. I need to finish the pigmenting, and that's it. And then after that, see, a part of me wants to revisit an idea I had where I got some Chaos Knights together, and then I need to, like, maybe I kind of want to repaint them, because I originally painted them as like Bellacor's house, the one he stole. But I don't actually know if I like the color scheme, because it's kind of a boring one. It's mostly black. I wasn't big on it. Kind of thought it was uninspired. I think I need to fix my calendar so I can save on my time more. Don't want to have my whole life plans like, oh no, I don't got time for you because I'm studying fields. Exactly, right? I feel like rigid life, I want to mix the time and what. Exactly, right? That's you want to have some freedom. I think when you make your plans, right? Instead of planning specific, if you plan for the stuff you have to do, and then that time that you have to do whatever you want, don't specifically go, oh, that's for this thing. Just go, that's time to me to do X number of things I might want to do. And then on the day, just maybe like at the start of the day, just go that one and put that in there. And just remind yourself to like always pick a thing you put in that gap, right? That might fit you, you know? Illusion of freedom of choosing. In a way, but at the same time, I think it's kind of like a... how to put it? You kind of... let's say someone's like, wants to hang out or something, right? Well, okay, that free time you're hanging out with them, great. But if you haven't got anything like that planned, then whatever things you feel like you want to do, just pick that in the moment. Because what you don't want to do is come to that point where you're done and you're tired and you can't think of anything to do, so you just rot. That's the thing you want to avoid, right? Because if you're rotting, you're rotting, right? You're just kind of sitting there, and then it just feels dead. And then at that point, yeah, it's just kind of shitty. I think I'll just plan out a schedule for studying 4 times a week. Exactly, right? Get a good study schedule that will work for you, because you're at least at a point where you can pick when you do work. Sadly, that's won't always be the case, but you're at a point where you can pick when you work, to a point, right? Obviously there's lectures and all kinds of shit, right? And certain things that have to happen at certain times of day. But otherwise, in many respects, you can decide, this is work time now. This day is work time. Whereas, like for myself, obviously, a lot of time is spent away from the house. Too much time, to be totally honest. That's the one issue I have at the minute. One of the big issues I have in my day job. Way too much time that isn't mine. Currently, I'm tired and rotting. The last 2 weeks has been the time I have watching videos, not doing my hobbies. I get you. I 100% get you on that one. Sometimes you do need a day where you just do nothing, though. I will stress there is an importance to just a day where you don't do anything big and you just rest. A day of rest is needed. But I get what you mean. And I always feel horrible if I've done nothing. Maybe do like a small thing that doesn't feel... if you ever have a day like that, maybe do something that doesn't feel like something. Like a walk. Just a walk. You just walk into town and you just decide to grab something while you're in town and walk back, right? It's something. You've got outside, you've got dressed, you've exercised a little bit, and you've set your mind on just walking to a place and back. It's still not much of something, right? But it's still something. You don't have to go quick. You can go as slow as you want. Especially as your free time is going to fucking stop you. You know? If you have the time, that might be an option. I know I do that myself. That is something I do genuinely do. I will just have a walk. I like to have a walk in. Last weekend I didn't, so I felt that bad, but this weekend I probably will. I'll probably have my walks. And next week I'm not in work. I'm off work next week, so I can kind of relax in a sense. I have 2 exams next week in both math and physics. I've been slipping, falling behind, so I need to spend time just getting up to schedule. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, those are obviously 2 big ones coming up, right? But I'd say just be mindful that you don't burn yourself up, right? Take it from me, it doesn't help. I would say try and keep it to a healthy level, because what you don't want to do is use all yourself up on those 2 exams and then, well, what were the next ones? There's gonna be more, right? So definitely, obviously, you got to catch up. That's completely valid. You got to do that, but don't use up every inch of time you have in just forcing things into your head, because you won't work. For some people, they can revise the night before and get it right, but quite often, if you're stressed the fuck out, you're trying to learn, you don't learn. Your brain kind of just goes, nope. Obviously, it varies by person, right? I can only speak from my own experiences, but I know for myself, I used to be a very, I still am to a point, a do it immediately person. But I must admit, as I've gotten out of education, gotten older, I've sometimes been a do it later person. It's weird. Listen, liberating. Fuck. 170-minute lesson in the movie studying. The teacher is super chill and will basically not do any exams or homework, which means after Thursday, basically free. That's good. That is good. I mean, it's what you need, right? You need a bit of break to just de-stress and chill. You gotta have yourself some. It was something, I must admit, I liked about college when I was in college. Those days where we mostly just finished early. That felt kind of nice. That did feel quite nice. I had to deal with the buses, annoyingly, but I will say it was nice to just be able to sit back and just relax. Sometimes we had to deal with, the evening bus and shit. Those were meh days. But other days, yeah, it was quite nice to be able to finish early. It is. It's why, I must admit, one blessing I had on Friday. Well, my bus just didn't, turn up, essentially. Well, yeah, for all intents and purposes, it didn't turn up. I couldn't get on it, so I ended up having to work from home that Friday. And obviously, I finish at 4:30, so I was already home then, so I had finished and could just sit there and go, okay, I'm done. And that, I will say, there is a liberating feeling to this. Or if I'm ever, doing my very early shift, where I have to start at 7:30 in the morning, right? Very early start, kind of sucks. However, being able to finish at half free. Oh. Oh, that's a good feeling. Excuse me. But next week should feel good. For me, at least, I must say. I've been needing a holiday for a while. My whole world's been shattered. I'm in gymnast, which I thought was equivalent between high school. Alright, my whole world's been shattered. Wait, the whole world's been shattered. I'm in. Is that gymnast? Which I thought was equivalent between high school and college. Truth is, no. I'm in bloody high school. I've all been flipped. Oh. Damn. I mean, to be fair, I hear over that side of things, like, from the way it sounds, like, you guys... I don't know if it's... I've been told in Denmark it's like, you're in education longer, but you start... you start later in education. If I understand it rightly. And I'm assuming that's the case in, like, other places nearby, I'm guessing. Like, you kind of start later in education. So, like, I was leaving high school at 16, for example. And then I left college at 19? Yeah, 19. And I was working before I was 20. That's been my lot. But, oh god, I'm old. Oh god, it's been a long 5 years. It's okay, I'll be able to say about streaming one day. One day I'll be able to turn around and go, yep, it's been 5 years, guys. I think I'll be 27 now. Oh god. That's a while away. I'm still 25. Still young. Much as I don't feel it. Much as I really don't feel it. Holy shit. I do not feel young at all. That is one thing I must say. I thought I would at least feel young at some point. I have not felt young. I think I haven't felt young in a long time. This kind of sucks, in a way. I'm not... I don't know, high school... In some ways I felt it, but in others I really, really fucking did. I don't know. Not doing bad for myself in my 20s, but at the same time, I don't always know if I'm happy with it entirely, you know? It's not terrible. It's not great. It's kind of this weird, fuzzy middle, and I'm trying to, like, make the most of it. Even if... middling results, right? Middling results. We have 10 years of obligated school. At the age of 6, we are preschool, which is getting phased out. Then we have 1 to 3 low stage, 4 to 6 middle stage, and 7 to 9 high stage. Then, how do you say that? Grimnest? 3 years, something like that, I think. Okay, so you essentially do like 2 to 3 year bursts. Essentially, your middle stage is like when you end all school, you'll be mid-16. As we started after school, say, okay. Like where I'm at, it's like kind of you've got to be in education till you're 16. Actually, no, you've got to be in education till you're 18, sorry. But after 16, you've kind of got to be somewhere that's providing you an education. So an apprenticeship or a job that's objectively teaching you. There's got to be like education involved. But after 18, yeah, do whatever you want. But also after 18, you have to pay for education. You have to kind of like, it's not free anymore. Which, see, my issue with that, I must admit, right? So, like, when I was doing my higher education, I did 1 year of higher education, and I must admit I hated it. And I kind of sat there and realized I am taking a student loan out to teach myself. I hated that concept, personally. So I didn't progress much further in it. I did 1 year, and I was told I should continue, but I was like, no, I didn't like it. So, against perhaps some better judgments, I went straight into work, because I figured, you know what, I'm at some point going to have the issue of experience anyway. I might as well get it over and done with now, and then if I need to get more education, I can always get it later. That's how I see it anyway. Get it later. Do an online course, or if work insists they can bloody pay for something. There's all kinds of shit. But basically, I figured I'd just get it over and done with. And it was probably a better decision for me. Worked out for me, I think. You know, it's funny seeing people who just started at my place. You know, who just really don't know what they're doing, and I'm like, this is like, I don't know, it's a weird feeling to kind of look at it and go, oh, what's wrong with that thing? Shit, okay. Then when you turn 18, you'll be scanned, and there is a possibility after. I assume this is ground. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that. Gymnast or gymnast, whoever says, you'll be forced into military conscription. 8 months. Holy shit. There's a possibility of... Holy shit. I mean, 8 months. I mean, it's not as bad as it could be, but 8 months still. That's... Oh. It's not great. I mean... Say it could be worse. I assume you don't have to be deployed? Are you just, like, trained as, like, a reservist, basically? Because I'm free to move around the world at the age of 20. Fair enough. I don't know, I've always been kind of weird feeling about, like, forced conscription. I get its existence, but I've always felt weird about it, because it always, like, gives me a bit of a... I don't know. Always kind of makes me feel a little bit off. I don't know, I think... The problem you've got with forcing that kind of thing is... You kind of got to be careful. Because people see it as a forced thing. If they don't feel pride in it, then you've just forced someone to be someone they don't want to be for 8 months. That doesn't tend to breed a very... It doesn't quite breed the best things, right? I don't know. I always think if a country wants good soldiers, they should do more to encourage people to join the military, not forcibly conscript them. Personally. I think a voluntary military is what is entirely made up of people who want to be there, who want to serve their country, right? Whereas a conscripted one is kind of, yeah, those invaders who have forced construction. Yeah, that's the thing. And the issue with that though is as well, who are they going to force? Because there's an issue in Korea, right, where it's only the guys. So most guys have less education over there because of that. Obviously, they might not have to do anything beyond stand guard, but it's like, still. I think the issue I always have is you hope it's just if you're invaded, then they call you up. My issue is what if they declare war? Then you're forced to, it's like, you're not defending your homeland, you're fighting for other people. That's the only thing I have a problem with. Ah. I see there's also that angle as well, yeah. I think it's one of those, isn't it, like, it's not a great feeling to kind of, you've got that on your back, and also it's not like it's an easy thing. Military service isn't an easy thing to do. I mean, yes, 8 months, so that's probably 6 weeks of basic, a few more weeks of like extra training for whatever, and then you're in the military for a bit. So it's not a full year, and you're probably home before Christmas, I would imagine. But I've got to admit, if I was forced into it, I would be a little resentful personally. Maybe that's just me. As much as I like where I live, I'll be frank, I would never die for this place. I wouldn't die for this place. No, not even slightly. I don't like it that much, and personally I think the people who would be asking me to do that don't deserve that, personally. Luckily, Sweden's full military doctrine is full defense, but with us being in NATO now, there's a possibility that I will be forced to wolf out. That's the issue. That's the issue, yeah. That's the thing. Hopefully, they stick firm with that and just say, no, we are not sending our people out, but obviously NATO kind of makes demands. It's like, yeah, that's my issue, right? Like, let's be realistic. Why the hell would you want to bleed for someone else's war? You're not on your own land. You're not defending your own family. You're fighting someone else's land for something you probably don't care about, and frankly, shouldn't be there for. It's like, I fully get you on that one. I've always thought that, just, I don't know. Like, that's one of my biggest issues. Like, my main issue with this forced conscription thing is, like, it just doesn't, like, if the country's liable to be going random parts of the world, all you're gonna do is bleed for somewhere else that just isn't gonna care for your sacrifice, and frankly doesn't deserve it, because, well, that's not your home. Someone else's home. Well, they should fight for their home. That doesn't mean you should, right? I don't know, it might be a harsh opinion, but I do always think your home comes first before someone else's. Whereas at least a voluntary force, it's like, okay, you've signed up with the understanding you might have to go somewhere else, potentially, and fight for someone else. But if you're forced, it's like, well, not only have I had no choice in the matter, but I'm here. Yeah, I mean, there's... Exactly. There is chances of that. That can still happen. So that there is that aspect, right? That you're... I mean, I would like to think as well they would want to use you for your skill sets, right? You'd probably still go for basic, right? Because everyone does. Even an officer goes through some shitty bit. But once you're out of that partly degrading bit, it's kind of like, you know, your skills get put to use. And, you know, if you've got a skill for that, yeah, cybersecurity is way more valuable nowadays than it used to be. I mean, you're not exactly far away from a place that's well known for their attacks, physical or digital. So, yeah, they probably would, to be honest. I'd like to think they would anyway. Or it's definitely something I imagine they would talk to you about. I would wager when they're recruiting people or bringing people in, it's like, hey, you've got this skill set, after your basic, we'll probably put you in for this. You know? I've heard of these things happening. You know, once you're at your basic, you get like the cybersecurity training. Heard of some, like obviously this is America I heard about, but doesn't mean to say you won't have a similar experience where you know they pull you aside and you know make full use of your skill set. Exactly, it's one of those things. It's a very important thing, and having people who are you know trained on it available is important because there's a very real chance that many wars are fought entirely digitally. Frankly, it's a very common thing. I mean, take it from me, as someone who works in cybersecurity to some extent, you'll be kept busy. And that's my experience with a decently sized company, but in the grand scheme of things, a NAT. Yours is for a government, so you'll have a lot of things to do, but you'll also get a very big length and breadth of experience in that field, which can then go on to lead to good things. I assume they pay you to do that. The medic gets a few days leave every now and then. Apparently, some of his fellow troops did drop out. And let my bad about them. I get you, man. I get you. It's not. I think it's kind of that. It's the old mindset, right? Like, oh, I did it, so you should have to do it, kind of thing, and da da da. But I will always say this: I don't think that's a good foundation for a defense force. Personally, I think the problem is if you don't absolutely love your country and are a nationalist, that doesn't work because, well, what's the motivation for someone who doesn't care as much or just simply isn't interested in potentially putting their life at risk? Which there's a lot of people. It's a very difficult conversation, honestly. But I wouldn't worry about that right now. Obviously, you know, a year or two later, that's different. But as you say, I wouldn't worry about it right now, though. I would think about that later, close to time. And as I say, if the worst comes to it, right, and you have to go do that, 8 months. Not great, but it's not a full year. The pay is like, what's that? Correctly, and it ain't nearly as good as a standard job. The most the money will be to burn on food and snacks to keep you happy through it. See, that's always a bit shitty. That is one thing I think is very shitty. It's like, if you're asking people to be conscripted, you should pay them. Sorry, you should pay them. Because you are making people put their necks on the line actively and taking them away from their life for a bit against their will. You should give them a financial incentive. I will say that is a bit of a that is a bit shitty. 1.2k is not a lot. That's not a lot. But I suppose it's guaranteed work. I mean, if that's monthly, yeah, that's yeah. No, I completely get your apprehension to it. I wouldn't be very happy. I mean, to be fair, they probably wouldn't recruit me because of my asthma. I'm probably not fit for military service. Not front line anyway, that's for certain. They probably wouldn't take my ass. Yeah, I mean, that's... I 100% get you. I 100% get you. That stuff. Oh, that the whole 8 months? Seriously? It's not even a monthly thing. That's terrible. 1.2k for 8 months work. That is. Oh, that is diabolically awful. What the fuck? Good God. Yeah, they've got to improve that. I mean, yeah, you're forced into it, great, but that's not going to make good subs. This system really relies on people being hardcore, like, all about the country. And I don't think that's still the case. Like, from the way it sounds from what you're saying, yeah, that's is worse. Yeah, see, I really think that isn't a great system, I must admit. You spend 8 months forced to live off 1.2k. And then, yeah, you potentially put your life on the line. Yeah, that's a bit shitty. I mean, are they at least like, you know, does the military at least fucking feed you and shit, or do you actually have to buy your own food and all that pits? That is, ugh. Like, I might sound a bit what's here, but it's just like, I don't know. Like I say, I probably wouldn't be fucking suitable, but at the same time, I also just, yeah, that just feels like a great way to make someone either want to like leave or just really resent the country. I don't know if it really, I don't know, I feel like it just doesn't work the same anymore, because I don't think people are quite as nationalistic as they used to be. Okay. I was gonna say. But I will say it's like, that's 8 months of potentially rather hard labour that you have to do, and you have no choice but to do. Like, I imagine when those 8 months are over, they don't get many people who stick around. I imagine most people don't want anything to fucking do with it after 8 months, and get out as soon as they can get out. Never look back. Like, I know why countries do this. Don't get me wrong, I understand the premise, but I just think, unless you're in an active war zone, or actively near a war zone, sure, kind of are, but at the same time. Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Well, that's fair enough. I don't know. I might feel a bit resentful, but then that's me. That's me. But then I resent my own country for many reasons. It's a bit of a shithole, isn't it? Military are employed are like 3k people. So 3,000 people are actually like full on employed. And everyone else kind of just gets conscripted and yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe it's just me, but I hear that and I'm like, I would be so pissed off. I would be so pissed off. To have to like give up 8 months of my life like that, but I don't know. Maybe I just value my. Maybe I'm just very big on my own freedom, I suppose. I don't know. I had to do 10 days in a hospital, and oh god, I hated that so much. I never wanted to see a hospital again, ever. I basically told my doctors, leave me the hell alone, but they kept bugging me about stuff. I'm like, I've done my checkups, go away now. I want nothing to do with it, because I was like, no. I lost my freedom for 10 days, that was enough to make me realise how much I valued my own freedom, but it's one of them. It's one of them. But like I say, I wouldn't worry about that for now. You've got a while left before you have to think about that kind of thing. And I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, it is only 8 months. It feels like a lot, but I imagine after you've done basic and your training, that's the first, like, month and a bit gone anyway. And then another 6 months and you're out. So, I suppose there's that. And I presume it looks good on, like, a resume that you've done that as well. I suppose as well, I guess as a positive note. You know, if you go for a job and they're like, oh, you know, you did that, okay, great. Probably looks good. You know. You probably appreciate the discipline or something like that, or, you know, I'm sure it's considered. Then again, if everyone does it, maybe it's just like, oh, if you don't have it, then it's a problem, kind of thing, kind of. So, no, like I say, where I live, national service stopped being a thing a long time ago. Long time ago. They did want to bring it back, but I think they kind of realized the logistics. They're on 3,000 conscripts right now, I believe. New general has increased the military. He wants 6k each year for around 20 years of military has been cut down. 20 years. I guess, to be fair, things have heated up a little bit, haven't they? There is a... Well, you have a neighbor. Well, I wouldn't call them a neighbor, but like they're a neighbor of your neighbor, right? You know, they're just a little tippy toe away from, you know, I suppose. So, I understand the issue. I guess there is that kind of, you know. Oh, okay. Oh, so they did stop doing it for a bit. To be fair, I guess as well, it is quite a strain on them to keep doing it. Because obviously you've got to have people trained, you've got to issue them equipment, and then you've got to deal with a force of people who really don't want to be there. Which I can imagine, even with all the military bearing and discipline, it's like, you're gonna have a big difference if people don't want to be there. I think that is the one thing, right, with the conscript force. It's like, yeah, they're never gonna quite be that disciplined because none of them want to be there. You've got to constantly watch them. I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of work. I get the purpose, though, because then it means if anything happens, you have a big portion of the population who can just pick up a gun and be ready. But Sweden plays most decent amount of safety rooms, bunkers during Cold War. Basically, all buildings have safety rooms. Oh, okay. Okay. That's fair. Though, again, there is that angle of wanting to be there. Like, that's got to be a strain, because you've got to have people who are full-time in there who watch them constantly. Because, like I said, I mean, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I feel like a force of people who don't want to be there is something you got to, like, really... Finn's goal in the Cold War was, okay, if nuclear war happens, let's survive the first wave. Fair. Fair. I mean, if it gets that bad, yeah, you might get called up, but it's more like to get in the bunker, because, you know, you can't really send men after, well, the sun being dropped somewhere. That is the small problem with that. I don't know. I just think in a few years it's going to be like... Well, there's the uptick in drones kind of made me think in a few years there's going to have to be a question of, well, how many guys do you need if one drone can do it, you know? Obviously, you're still going to need people on the ground, I guess, but you can't win time from drone warfare. Although, I don't know, there's been a few examples, hasn't there? Examples of it. Ugh. Okay. Oh. Oh. I don't know how much Sweden's like adopted drones into their sort of roster. I know over here we're quite keen on the idea, but then we've never had much numbers. So anything to even out the playing field on numbers and a bunch of disposable drones to take the hits of people is a pretty good way of doing that. Because we sure as hell don't have no numbers for that. Again, we never have. It's not been our way. Got a good amount of ships, good amount of aircraft. We ain't got a good amount of guys on the ground because we just ain't got the people for that. We're an island, so the sky and the sea is more important. And then the people on the ground have to be well trained as possible. Shut down Sweden's recent nuclear warhead, then went maybe not and put our money into jet fighters. The nuclear researchers made nuclear reactors. I mean, hey, that's smart. Nuclear reactors, I mean, hey, it's done well. If only we'd done that. We're kind of playing catch up again over here to make that happen. But I think the hope is eventually we'll start making them again. We have power. But it's one of them things, right? It's one of them awkward little things where we just ain't got the juice. We just haven't been building. Despite being one of the first places to adopt the idea of atomic anything, we didn't bother making more reactors for some reason. So it's like making reactors is expensive now, fiddly. So we forgot how to do it. As you say, Sweden, they've done it. Korea's done it quite well, and France has done very well, actually. Very smart move. It's a big brain move. Over here, not so big brain. Quite small brain over here. 4% energy on dams. That's still like a good amount. I mean, obviously you got dams, right, which is great. Hydroelectric, very nice. It's one of them, like where you guys are at, obviously solar, not really viable because you don't get the fuck all sun. Same up here, it's like, they keep on about solar, I'm like, there is no sun up here. We get less sun than, I think we might get less sun than you, by the way. I think I saw the math, and I think the UK might get less sun. Actually, it depends how north in Sweden you are. I think the more northern part of Sweden gets even less, but I know there's parts of the UK that get less sun than Sweden, and like Scandinavian countries in general. Which is wild to me, considering some of you lot are up near the Arctic Circle. You're at the point where fucking the sun don't turn up for a bit. Yeah, I was gonna say, I assume solar is kind of like a back-end thing for you guys, considering, again, the sun doesn't really shine in quite a good part of your country. Whereas it gets windy, I'm sure. I bet it gets bloody windy in places. It's windy over here. You know, it's windy today, but if only we could energize the rain that comes down constantly over here, we'd be fucking rolling in power. It's a shame there is no way to make energy from rain falling. It's also a shame that the only form of power generation we fucking figured out is making a thing turn. Like, when you really think about it, what's a reactor? You just heat water, make steam, and the fan turns. That is it. That is it. That is your power. Like, goddamn. We still haven't figured out a way of making power. Other than make heat, make things spin, power. I guess technically solar isn't quite that, but it's also not as efficient. Maybe, like, in orbit it's probably more efficient, because, well, you can kind of get a good licking of the sun up there, but down here in the dirt, it's not quite as, how should I say, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a bit dark. A bit dark and it's a bit cloudy around here. Right, we'll go outside. Oh, pitch black. There we go. There you go. Sun's already gone. Oh. Book playing about identify down south. They refused wind power to the VU. Then they shut down nuclear reactor power plants and then dammed up off. Yeah, I mean, seems like they've kind of fucked up a bit there. No nuclear, well, no juice. No wind, no juice. Power go up, because you've got to transport it all the way down from the north now. More strain on the systems, more capacitors, yeah. You would think they would invest in more reactors to make up for it, but, you know. What can you do? What can you do? People want to make the sleep decision, you know. Excuse me. The Dublin stuff. Fucking hell. Okay, over here things are more expensive in the south as well. Houses normally, for some reason, even though they're not much better. Most wind power plants are thrown up north. It's super light wind power. Just not there. Yeah, that's the thing with everyone, really. Don't get me wrong, I kind of get it. To a point, like a sea of little noodles with spinny bit. I kind of get it, didn't want to see it. But I suppose at the same time, there's got to be a middle ground. I mean, I don't know. I'm always a proponent of just saying, you know, find a nice corner. You're not doing anything with them. Just smack a nuclear reactor down. It's a bit of work, a bit of an investment, but pays for itself for the next fucking couple of decades. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm a big lover of saying that build that nuclear power. The atom may be able to blow things up, but it's also a great source of power. And despite what some people will tell you, they don't really go bang anymore. We kind of learned from that one incident. Damn. I mean, you'd think if they're overproducing, genuinely, I guess to be fair, you can't really send it down that easy, I suppose, but I've seen some interesting things where they're trying to figure out new ways of transporting energy. I did see one thing where, I think it was at DARPA, they were sending power via lasers, actually. I'm back from whatever I was doing. Hey Ty, and welcome back, buddy. You've returned from the cosmic void. Just talking about Swedish power. I don't know how we got here. We got here somehow, but we're talking about Swedish power. That being like energy, you know, electricity. Again, I don't know how we got here somehow. Then again, if I had a pound every time we went off the tangent on these, I'd be rich. I had a pound every time that happened. On a side note, chat, I must confess, I have sadly not yet heard about smart stuff, exactly, big brain stuff. Also, we're sending energy down, energy to drop percent energy south. Oh, yeah, that's the problem. Moving it gets weaker the further away from its generation it goes. The universal problem. An energy grid. No matter how many capacitors you got. It's a universal problem. I did physics when I was... Listen, I was pretty good at physics when I was younger, okay? You know what? You know one bit of physics I wasn't bad at? Electricity. Circuits and shit. I knew my circuits, alright. I knew my circuits. You know, you put that NAND gate in front of me, my ass knew what a NAND gate was. I could do that shit. I was good at that shit. I was big brain and stuff. What happened? I went to IT. So I deal with funny boxes, make noises, confound people who were very confused by them. Most people very confused by them. And in my spare time, I do a type of streaming that requires a half decent IT knowledge, because if you have to fix a problem, it's weird. Seriously. If you don't like IT, my god, VTubing is oh god. Like, every VTuber has to be a little bit tech savvy. You gotta be. Make this shit work. So many, like, loopholes and, like, so many hoops to jump through and fucking weirdness. Certain things that just will not work together. I don't think you should have become an electrician. Honestly, part of me wonders. But that would mean I have to travel around a lot, and I fucking hate traveling. But it probably would pay better than what I'm currently on. But supposedly some big changes are happening soon, so we'll see if those big changes include giving me what I'm fucking owed. If it doesn't, then Kerbal might be job searching. So, I do way too much for what I'm on. The amount of hats I must wear. Bear in mind, I'm one of the more experienced people in the room as well, so everyone fucking will come to me sometimes for shit. And then if I don't know, I have to go find the fucker who's been here longer than me. There's not many people in there who've been there longer than me. It's actually a bit of a problem. Like, And I think someone else is more experienced than me left recently. So I'm like, oh no. No. That would mean no alternative internet personality of being Han. No. Oh. No, it... Wait, what's that? No alternative... No. If I'm job hunting, I'm still in my job. It's just I'm looking around for something. Oh, wait, if I went the electrician, do you mean? Potentially it'd still happen. But I suppose, yeah, if I wasn't like as much of an IT guy, then it wouldn't have like been as simple a thing. But then again, if you hear many VTubers pre-VTuber life, it's not like a lot of them were like techie people before. You know, you've got that's the kind of thing of VTubing. There's content creation in general, I suppose. You can kind of come from any walk of life and have your own story to tell. I'm still walking mine, so you're learning my story with me. Whereas some people in their 30s know a bit of a story still. I get you. I mean, there's a small chance, yeah. I mean, if everything happens for a reason, right? So they say. So I mean, hey, maybe the IT life was meant to be, thus I could find this and go down the great plague known as being a VTuber. In this day and age, there's a fucking drama every other week that I intend to stay a mile away from. Christ. If you've seen what's happening at the minute, my fucking... New profession unlocks. Be an anime wife online to beg dance for money. Listen, I have never begged for money. That's one thing I'm prideful enough to say I have never had to beg for money while doing this. No. There is no begging. No. Some people do this to beg for money. But I have a day job, so I don't need to beg for money. You being here is enough. anything else you give is a very kind extra that I'm eternally grateful for. But believe me when I say, I'm not going to starve. Don't you worry, chat. Cobral has enough money to spend things on obscenely expensive models and PC bits and models and other things. Models as in physical models and models as in one of these. We don't discuss how much 3.0 cost. We don't discuss this. All you need know is it was enough. Wait, you have money? I'm not rich. Not even close. I just don't have to spend much. I thought you wanted to. Listen, I am. I just don't have to spend much. I don't know about the main YouTuber circle, but about their existing names, I keep myself low down. That's fair enough. That's fair. It's okay, Payne. You can stay in my circles, even if I somehow ever get bigger. You'll be one of the old heads who like I remember. Was some dwellers and ramen noodle eaters. I think I would never call myself well off, but I've not struggled. Swamp dwellers here. I've never been well off. I think I suppose you would consider me middle class, right? That's probably where you'd put me. That fading group of people. I say fading, it's slowly fading. But, you know, I think, you know, I get enough to, like, live reasonably. I live a family still, so, you know, enough money comes in the household to live reasonably. And every now and then get to spend a little bit. But I'm mostly saving money. To a point, you know, I'm mostly saving where it makes sense. But I'm still spending where I want to now and then, because saving money is great, you should do it. But once you've saved so much, it's like, you've got to have some fun in life. Well, my existence will be right, the fancy cheese, plastic models, and something else, I don't know. Yeah, I think getting comfortable's enough, right? Like I said, like I always say to people, do I expect this to ever take off to any crazy level? No, but it'd be nice. But you know, if I get to the point where I'm able to do that, do this full time, and that very fortunate and very thankful position, then who knows? But at the moment, it's my pleasure and my hobby to get away from things and do this. And anything else that comes of it, extra benefit. Honestly, my main thing, as I always say to people, is I want to just build more of a community up. I want to build people who can join me for these streams and just vibe. Because I'm a lonely motherfucker and I need company. And it turns out this is a very good way of me getting company, whilst not feeling social anxiety. This is great. I love having company and no social anxiety. That feels pretty good. I like that feeling. It's one of the reasons why I'm predominantly a streamer and not a YouTuber much. Though I do want to put a bit more into YouTube. Partly for just experimenting. But also I just feel like I can. If I put my mind to it. It's sort of the next phase for me, if you like. Is to put a bit, maybe every now and then, put a big old video out. You know what I mean? A big one, a big meaty one. Something chunky. Something thick. As I always say, we like an extra thick here. I really need to study and wrap my head around funds and what to invest into, because they are long, most profitable. What's that? I think they might want. See, I told you I'm one of you. Listen, Time, I know being sociable as being an anime woman online. Talking to text on the screen is my only way I can be sociable. But no, I get what you mean, Paint. I need to probably look into, like, how to like, intelligently use the money I have in a way. So I can, like, have a little background tick. If that makes sense. Like, a little slow build-up of cash. You know, something passive that ticks away. I've always been a big fan of passive things tick away in the background that later on become decent. Maybe like a high interest account. I don't know. One of these days I will sit down with someone who understands money. Like a money person. Explain to me how money work. Hopefully they can explain how money work. Then I could do something smart with it. But yes, social anxiety. It's a problem. It's a problem. The only time I don't feel it is after a few drinks. And not always then either. You'll have an enemy girl inside of us. They say inside of you are two anime women. They are both kissing. With lots of tongue. It's true. And for some of you, inside of you there are two wolves. You can fill in the gaps. Especially for one particular person out there who's hearing this. You just need to let them out. I haven't been able to see my inner anime girl for a long time. You gotta go dig. Just hope they haven't turned into a yandere or something, you know? They aren't sitting there. I was about to say sitting there with a knife in hand with, like, weeping mascara, but that kind of sounds kind of... Oh no. Oh no, Cobral. You're mentioning your type again. I always worry sometimes if I encounter someone who's the equivalent of an actual yandere. That I would be a potential victim of that shit. I don't know. There's always a small part of me that goes, I'd see the red flags, but if she was hot enough, I probably would overlook them. Then again, gentlemen, wouldn't we all? Which says we don't have long. I mean, you never know. Hopefully not. I'm just saying, my ass is fucking. Listen, I know they say don't put it in crazy. Kind of like crazy. However, crazy is still crazy. Crazy is still cray. But, you know. Not entirely bad. Just a little crazy. Anyway, I'm going off a weird tangent. This is gonna be a weird tangent. Or was that what more in reference to Time's inner anime girl becoming a OnlyFans model? Over elbow model in particular. That's a very particular one, actually. I didn't read that bit for some reason. I was like, an elbow model. I'm scared to think. I'm scared to think some people are into that. They probably are, though. A cute girl who loves to be bad, except with insecure loyalty. What is wrong? I mean, as long as it's not abusive, you know. Also, there's a small chance he tries to kill you, but you know, there's that as well. I've heard of this happening. There is someone in Japan who is described as the IRL yandere, and she is just like this. However, many people still want to smash. I get it. But she did try and stab motherfucker. I think a guy got away with a stab to his liver. Just fucking went for it. Fucking went for it. But, you know, at the same time, Danger's kind of... Danger got me acting unwise. Same as I do be acting unwise around the dangerous ones. Oh dear. You can tell I must be in a better mood. I'm unhinged. I actually wanted to discuss something. I watched your latest video on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's just you, but I've seen a shitload of videos about, let's say, downtrodden life realizations, or like, I'm XX-year-old loser. There's something in that just YouTube weight. I don't think it's just you. Maybe. There's something in the YouTube water even. I think, without getting too depressive, I think it's just because, like, in the world, it feels like things are kind of shitty. To be honest with you, Time. I think, and the thing, I guess the thing is as well, is there's a lot of, yeah, no, I appreciate that, thank you. It's like, it is weirdly just shitty at the minute. I don't know what it is. It's just, like you say, something's just off. To have you under, you need to be a master of negotiation. Come here, please let me go for a week. I will keep to my... and have times. Listen, when it comes to Yandere, here's what you need to do. Now say it with me, kids. When it comes to the hot Yandere, you need to fuck her brains out. This is non-negotiable. If she can think, she can try and kill you. If you've smashed her brains out in bed, winky face, then she'll be satisfied and will not try and kill you. At that point, they must debate whether you run out the building and never look back, or you commit. But if you commit, you must repeat and be consistent. That's how you survive the Yandere. You wife her up, and then you give her what she's after. That's all I'm saying. Listen, she knows what she wants. You give her what she wants. She probably won't stab you. Hopefully. It is the plan. But to get back to what you were saying, Time. Yeah, no, it's already wifed up. I'm good now. Wait, you are? Congratulations. I guess late congratulations, I suppose. You've probably already been from it, time. But no, as far as yeah, as far as like you were saying originally though, yeah, like it does feel like things just kind of like I guess how to put it. You kind of hear about how things used to be and how things sounded more fulfilling, right? Hear about suffering the world, about... You know what? That's honestly a very valid point, mate. That's a very valid point. You do hear a lot more of the literal worst things ever. Like, think about it 20 years ago. I would have been 5 years old then. But, like, you know, basically, especially like early 2000s and the 90s, the internet was still quite new. News didn't travel the same way it does now. And also there weren't algorithms that objectively push negativity because it gets clicked on, right? And so I think, and the other thing as well is, you don't get algorithms pushing other people's success in your face to the point where you sit there and think, well, fuck me, aren't I a dick? That's the other thing as well, right? Exactly, right? It's self-destructive. There's two ends of it, right? You've got really successful people who are a 1 in a million being constantly shown in your feed, and it's like you thinking, well, why aren't I successful? It's because your entire feed is filled with people who were like had a 1 in 10 chance and they got the 1, you know? Whereas you've got the other angle, which is just like the worst of the worst. And so it always feels like you're always doing bad while you're watching people do good, right? And it's hard to look at what you've got and go, actually, it might not be as good as them, but it's still good. Or if it doesn't feel good, a constructive way to address that. Does that make sense? And then you kind of, like in my case, right, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'm fully aware I'm a bit of a fucking perfectionist. I can 100% be. If I see something that isn't quite how I like it, it bothers the fuck out of me. I mean, I'll give you a good example, right? Give you a good example. So let's say, for example, it's like when I'm having, when I was having models made, right? So I would use reference images, okay, of things I liked, that I really, really liked. And because of how my head works, I struggle to envision, okay, something based off of that. And so I'm always like, I don't know. And then I see the final thing and I love it, right? But there's always that stage where I'm really like, oh, I don't know, because it doesn't look like the thing I sent, but it's like, well, no, it can't look like the thing you sent, Cobral, because you can't have them copy the thing you sent. It's inspiration, not copy. And it's always like, and that's a me thing, though. I know that's a me thing, being neurodivergent as I am. It's like, I see something and it's like I get obsessed with that thing, and if it doesn't look like that thing, I get bothered. But then I see the end result and I go, I love it. Because it has the right feel. And, like, that's a difficulty for me. I'll admit that, really, that's a difficulty for me. If something isn't quite, like something I've... And I get out of my own work sometimes, like, let's say I'll see someone making a video, right? And I'll think, oh, I want to kind of make things, you know, I want to kind of make things a certain way, and I see someone else do it. And I'll think, oh, I would make it like that. But then I don't might make it that way, but I make it my own way, and I get bothered about it. But then, it's a weird one, right? I know for myself, I set this standard so high that it can't be achieved, and I have to kind of drag it back down and go, hang on, this is achievable. But that's a me. That's a me. But no, it's a weird one. But I suppose it's a weird timing that my video came out same time as many others. I guess I'm just feeling the vibe, I suppose, in that one. 3 years come off a better world. You know, around 920, what was right started. We were turning point, I believe. We're still waking up, welcome hill, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like you say, things have to. For good change to happen, something has to happen, right? A push for that has to happen. It is something I do hope for myself. So I suppose if there's one positive message we can end things on, is that no matter how bad things feel, they will get better. It may take time, it may take work. They will be better. I have to remind myself that daily, but it will get better. You know? As I mentioned my burnout. I burned out, but I recovered a lot quicker than I did last time. So I've become more resilient to it this time, right? And, you know, if I feel like that again next time, I may be even more resilient, right? So, you know, things can get better. And I think that video in a way, was me getting shit off my chest, so I could get up and kind of move on. And you know, I think being able to sit here for 2 hours and do this reminds me why I do it. Reminds me why I do it, and it's reminded me how much I like doing it. So I missed you guys. I've missed you fuckers. I have missed you. So, but yeah. Anyways, my dear sinners, I will have to love you and leave you, as I need to prepare for tomorrow. But don't worry, I will be back same time on a Friday. Snooze the thing so it doesn't play ads while I'm trying to speak. But I will be back. And we're going to play some Total War. We'll have a good old time. So, that all being said, thank you very much for joining me tonight, everybody. Very much appreciate your company. Very much needed. It's good to be back. We're seeing how the EU is trying to kids. Yes, there is that. That's as well. But that's alright. Anyway, I wish you all a wonderful night. Take care of yourself, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, ta for now.